is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of House of Cards. I am on episode number, what is this? 15, 16, 17, 18? I don't know. We're starting to get up there, but I'm pretty excited to still be putting these out for everyone, and I hope the couple dozen people that subscribe to me are enjoying these because I do love talking about all things sports cards and sharing any news and insights and exciting things that happen to me and just in the hobby in general, and just kind of keeping everyone sort of connected. And I think that's what's important through good content creators is creating community and keeping all of us kind of connected through hobby content. So here we are again, another episode. This one's going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge as I have a few things to talk about. I got some recent mail day deliveries to go through, and I think just some hobby news that I wanted to sort of spend a minute talking about. But I'll start off with some nice light reading, which is a segue. I got my new issue of SMR Magazine in, which is pretty cool. And, this is the PSA quote-unquote price guide, but, no one really uses print price guides anymore because they're kind of silly. So this is the December issue. Josh Allen on the cover. I think he's a great cover choice. I definitely have grown to respect Josh Allen as a quarterback. I think the hobby has as well. I think a lot of people are starting to see him as a potential, top 5 quarterback in the league as his team continues to develop. I think they got a great defense behind him. He's got a couple good weapons out there. I do think that Buffalo's going to make a run at it this year. I don't think they're going to be able to come out of the AFC ahead of Pittsburgh or Kansas City, but you know what, if they make a little bit of a noise in the playoffs, I think it's going to go a long way, especially for Allen's cards. So great cover choice, I think, by SMR. So I'm really excited about that. I just wanted to quickly just go through some of the articles in here and show you what they're talking about. So this is the Josh Allen article, obviously. Just talks about, kind of the fact that the Buffalo Bills haven't had a real solid quarterback for a long time. I remember when I was young and, Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and Bruce Smith and that team was quite impressive. And, obviously they went to the Super Bowl, I think was like 4 times or something with that team and never won, which was really kind of sad. But, who knows? Maybe give these guys another year or two and maybe they'll start making some real noise and pushing ahead even further. But what I love about these articles is it goes into kind of some of the Josh Allen cards and the different collectibles that are important. So you got your prisms, you got your contenders, your optics, your selects, Crusade. I mean, I don't really collect Crusade, but some people do. Scores, and all that kind of stuff. So it really dives in deep into sort of his past and sort of, how he came up and became who he is. And then it talks a little bit about, his cards. So, there's his 2 main base cards, his Prism and his Optic. I actually do own the Optic, which is pretty cool. And, talked a little bit about his non-autograph cards. So it really breaks down each one. I really like that, how it just kind of digs into all of the different aspects of his card collecting. So anyways, great article on Josh Allen. So definitely think that's a good read. Here's another great one. They do these articles on kind of the PSA set registries. And if you follow my videos, I did that specific kind of deep dive into the PSA registries. And this one is specifically about Mookie Betts. So really cool because this is a good way if you haven't really spent too much time researching a certain, set of cards for a player that you may like. Using the registries is sort of like your, starting point is like a super smart way to do it because you can, learn about all their early cards, kind of which ones are the most important key cards. It also gives you kind of the average cost, so you can kind of start bookmarking some for ones that you want to try to, go get. So I really like how they, break down these registries in each issue of SMR because it really does help. And I was reading one about Roberto Clemente, and it made me want to go start grabbing some Roberto Clemente cards because there are some that are, very, still underpriced. I think, in my opinion, you can still get them for a decent price. This one was really interesting, talking about Hulk Hogan cards. Wrestling cards are a thing, and if you don't know much about it, I definitely recommend kind of, learning as much as you can, because I do think they're going to start having a bigger moment. I remember people like Gary Vee talking about them a lot on their podcasts and stuff. He was a huge wrestling fan, as was I during this era. And I definitely think there's going to continue to be more and more sort of collectors, because again, I think cards go in cycles of people aging and certain age groups from certain time periods, and what was kind of popular during that time period and how it kind of translates to today. And I think that people in their, say, call it late 30s, early 40s, can really resonate with, the WWF sort of world with, Macho Man and Hulk and Andre the Giant and Jimmy Superfly Snuka and all of them. So this article is really cool. It talks about this guy's collection. He just got this crazy Hulk Hogan collection. And it talks about, some of the more valuable cards and parallels and all of the things. So really, really interesting article. Definitely worth a check if you get a chance to look at this. And finally, something that I don't have much knowledge about, but I know of it, but definitely even less so than I was on Pokemon, is a Yu-Gi-Oh, which again I was kind of aged out by the time this was happening. But this was early 2000s, and kind of the same thing. It's your TCG sort of, I guess you say, ballpark of products, just like Pokemon. But there's definitely a lot of information in here. It talks about the different card types, the ratios per pack, so you can get an idea of like rarity and all that. So again, just really, really deep dives into Yu-Gi-Oh, and kind of talks about all the important sets and important cards and everything else. So I love this. I read the one on Magic the Gathering. I intend to really spend some time with this one, because I think ultimately at the end of the day, regardless if you're going to be a collector of it, it's always good to have knowledge, because I think it just makes you more powerful when it comes to just being a good overall collector, because there's always going to be times where you never know. There might be an opportunity where you see a Yu-Gi-Oh card, out there in the wild, and right away, oh my gosh, that's one of those super valuable Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and it's super underpriced. And I know that because I spent the time researching it, and now I have the opportunity to get it at a very reasonable price. So again, that's the mindset of a non-collector of Yu-Gi-Oh. However, if you just want to be a straight investor, you need to do your homework so you can take advantage of those opportunities when and if they present themselves. So anyways, SMR December issue, pretty cool stuff there. Now, there's been a lot of rumblings in the last about 24 to 48 hours about a really kind of important thing to happen in the hobby. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, because I think a lot of other content creators out there kind of, have really spoken as much as they can to this subject. Some of them just, kind of doing it to get the YouTube headlines. But some of them, know a little bit more about the kind of, entrepreneurial, investor world. Just to give you guys a little information about me, is I come from an entrepreneur background. I currently run my own business, and I have for the last 15 years. I've been self-supporting this whole time, and I've actually have grown businesses and sold them for millions of dollars. And I think there's a lot to sort of unpack when it comes to the whole PSA selling to the private group of investors led by Nat Turner. And I think a lot of people, are kind of looking at this real surface level, and which is fine, because I think there is a lot to know in terms of how important this is to the hobby and can be in the near future. But I definitely do think that, it's good to kind of understand, a little bit about who this person is, why this is important to the hobby, and, just kind of understanding sort of the, private investment world a little bit, and understanding how that works, and, where that can be beneficial and where that can be not beneficial, I guess. And how this will all kind of shake out at the end of the day. So I just want to just kind of just talk off the top of my head. I'm not prepared with a long list of notes and of other things, but I did, spend some time learning more about Nat Turner. I knew who he was previously through just, basic social media and interviews and other things I've seen. I actually do follow him on Instagram. I love his page. I love his passion. I love when he does box rips of his private stash of awesome, 90s and early 2000s basketball packs. He's a true hobbyist and a true collector, and you see the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between in his content, which just makes you feel like this guy isn't in it for purely an investment sake. He actually has a true passion for what he does and what he does for the hobby. So I did do research more on him as a businessman and where his path kind of started and where it's developed and now taken him to. And he's a pretty interesting character. He's definitely a young entrepreneur, and he's done very well for himself over the last decade or so. I think I'd see a lot of similarities between mindsets. Obviously I haven't been as successful as Nat, but I definitely have gone through some of the same things that he has. And from what I can learn from my research was he started a company, and it was I guess it was a kind of a media tech company that helped sort of do like ad placement and stuff through a certain tech platform that was very unique, and it got purchased by Google in 2010. And I think the total amount, I'll go ahead and pop it up here on the screen because I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was, in the tens of millions of dollars the transaction was for, and it was actually a cash transaction. Now that's very important because I think a lot of times people, when they see these like big investment deals that close or companies that get, acquired or whatever it may be, they'll see these giant numbers, and then everyone all of a sudden thinks that, this person has, hundreds of millions of dollars in their pocket. That's not always the case. In my case as well, when I sold my company, we got some money in cash, and we primarily though got a lot of it in stock. So it's not always what it seems when you see it in face value. So when you see that, Instagram got bought for $1 billion by Facebook, it was probably all or most all in stock, which, some stock is very liquid if it's public stock and you can, liquidate and stuff, but there's always like contingencies in there as far as like how soon you can and, how much you can and how frequently you can. And there's all kinds of different contingencies they'll write into the agreements. But this deal in particular was a cash deal, which is very interesting because obviously Google has a lot of cash, so they were able to buy them outright with cash, which now, kind of is where I believe that Nat got his jump start. And when I say jumpstart, I mean where he sort of got his funds to then be able to now deploy it into other areas. So looking at his profile, I see that he also created a an investment fund during that same time period around 2010, and he started investing in a bunch of different companies. And then of course, he started his medical tech company. That was sort of the big one there, and that was the one where he then looks like exited for about $2 billion, which obviously I think that's where a lot of the large pools of money came from to now start doing investments like he just did into PSA. So that I think it's a very kind of, I don't want to say rags to riches because I don't think he was I don't know his youth or his his situation where he grew up, but I do believe that he's self-made and he brought himself up from he did get a good education at Wharton, and I think he's just a really smart guy, and he was able to put his talents into places and was able to grow his companies and grow them the right way and to get them to a point to where they're worth millions of dollars. And, I respect that a lot because I know personally firsthand how hard it is to do that. And, it's not for the faint of heart, and it's definitely something that it's not common. I don't know what the actual percentage is of how many companies actually, succeed and grow to a point to where they could be acquired or sold, but it's not many. So, congrats to Nat. I'm really excited for him, and hopefully, there's a lot of good things coming in the future for PSA. I think, there's more pros than cons in this scenario. I honestly don't think there are too many cons, and I definitely do think that his knowledge of the hobby and the pain points and everything else are going to be really, really instrumental and helpful in establishing PSA as the new kind of version of what we all expect a great grading company to be. And I'm actually really happy that they acquired PSA instead of starting like a brand new grading company from scratch. I kept hearing rumblings about people telling, oh, there should be a new company you should start. There's so many opportunities out there, da da da. I mean, if you can just buy one that's already established, already has a strong following, already has tons of customers, and has the best, return on investment of all the different grading companies in the world. I mean, why wouldn't you just buy it and then just improve upon it instead of starting something brand new? So hopefully he'll, hear feedback from the industry and from the hobbyists out there. One thing I will throw in the pot is, can we please get subgrades on PSA cards? That would be incredible. I think we all always wonder why our card got a 7 when there is no obvious problem with the card, and seeing a subgrade that will tell us the reasoning why it got a 7 would probably make everyone exhale and feel a lot better about using PSA as their primary grading company. All right, let's get this piece of mail open here. Cool. Very cool. So this card actually has a little bit of a meaning of why I bought this card. It's a little bit of I won't say sentimental because I think that's too strong of a word, but when I first got back into collecting was the year of this set, so that was 1819 Prism, and it was during that time where I started kind of really learning again, sort of. You got to kind of re-educate yourself when you get back into the hobby. And I remember seeing these Prism cards, and I really liked the way that they looked, and I thought they were really handsome cards. I thought they had great design, and especially this Kobe card was very cool because I think the image of him just, it's such a great action shot. And again, I think the action shots and, the actual image on the cards are important. I think sometimes, we get caught up in certain cards just being worth money and kind of overlook, the actual, artistic value of the card. And we just focus on the fact that, oh my God, this card's worth a lot of money. So who cares if it's like Steph Curry's goofy looking rookie card, or it's Barry Sanders goofy looking rookie card, or what have you. There's tons of examples of this, but I think if you're collecting something that, isn't a highly sought after rookie card, that might just be more of a, kind of a veteran card, or a card that, is a little bit more widely available or whatever, you want to collect things that are very, beautiful and are, as they say, have a lot of eye appeal. So when I first started collecting, one of the very first cards that I bought, and actually I think the very first slabbed card I ever bought was this. So, got the Hyper Kobe from 1819 Prism, and I just thought this card was so cool, and I just loved, the shine on it. I just loved the action shot of Kobe, and I didn't care if it was a 9. I just thought it was so cool, and it came up for auction. I just had to have it. So once I bought this and I saw how cool the card was, I started learning more about the other parallels in Prism, and trust me, there's a lot of them. So there's a lot to download and to learn. So when I started kind of digging into it, I decided that I wanted to start collecting the rainbow. And so I've slowly been picking up more color parallels. The odds of me finishing the rainbow is probably pretty low because there are such, high, value cards. Even for 1819 Kobe card, some of the, more sought after parallels are obnoxiously priced and, you know, might not be worth it at some point. But I like the idea of collecting some of the lower end parallels and just, you know, getting at least maybe a chunk of the rainbow, because I think it'll look really cool in my collection. And again, it has sentimental value also because this was kind of reminds me of when I first started collecting again. And, you know, Kobe's obviously, you know, a great player to collect. And, you know, I think just it makes sense to me. So I'm going to keep trying to grab some more colored parallels of Prism with the Kobe cards. So hopefully I'll be able to find some more. I do actually have a purple that is off to PSA, and I have another one I am going to be purchasing shortly. And so, you know, that'll give me 4 out of like 1,000, but it's okay. It'll look cool once they start coming together, and I'll make sure and share those with you guys. So cool pickup. I'm excited to have this as part of the rainbow. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys tuning in again for another episode. If you haven't already, I would love if you would subscribe. I put out videos at least weekly, probably twice a week, and I, you know, want to keep doing this and keeping it moving. So give me a like if you don't mind. Hit the bell icon, and then I will again see you on the next episode. And until then, peace.